What is up, sexy people? It is Dave, it is Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from Apocalyptic Post-Punk project, Scorpion Milk. The band's new album, Slime of the Times, will be released on September 19th via Peaceville Records. Scorpion Milk is the new project from Matt McNerney, the founding creator of Beastmilk's highly revered Climax, and the subsequent 3 Grave Pleasures albums. Infused with elements of Beastmilk's original DNA, debut album Slime of the Times marks the most direct, raw, and explosive evolution of his self-defined genre, apocalyptic post-punk. An eclectic artist in his own right, McNerney's roots are also firmly in the black metal underground of Finland and Norway, and continues to work in that genre, plus is also currently active with his band Hex Vessel. Joining Matt on Slime of the Times is a whole host of cross-scene collaborators, featuring Tor from Viagra Boys on drums, Nate from Converge and Cave-In on bass, as well as a special guest appearances from Killing Joke's Big Paul Ferguson, plus Will Gould of Creeper offering lead vocals on the track She-Wolf of London. Slime of the Times was produced by McNerney himself and recorded at Pine Hill Studio in Finland, with mixing carried out by Wayne Adams at Bear Bites Horse in London. Mastering was conducted at the legendary Abbey Road Studios in London. So, for those that don't know, we've been kind of following Matt and his different bands from the early Beastmilk days.
2012?
Yeah, about then.
Yeah, I think that's when the EP came out.
Yeah, so this is not a review that we're going into blindly.
Unlike some others tonight.
Yeah,
we are well versed here, crusty veterans.
Yeah, we've reviewed some of the Grave Pleasures releases, Hex Vessel, even some albums he's guested on, like we did the Haunted Plasma release not long ago, which he was on. However, I think safe to say, feel free to disagree, but I still feel like Climax is by Beastmilk is still like the one. It's like there's something special about that.
And that's one of those albums where it's kind of like lightning in a bottle, because the Use Your Deluge, which is the previous EP, which I fucking adore, is really raw and rough, and it's kind of not that it's unfocused, but it's like grand idea, very limited budget. And then we keep forgetting about this. Climax was helmed by Kurt Ballou.
True.
And I think, if memory serves, is it not mastered by Brad Boatwright? Maybe. I think if it isn't, I
think it might be naturally.
I think it is. So you've got Ballou and Boatwright behind that, and it is one of the most impeccably recorded and stunning releases I think I've ever heard. It encapsulates a vibe and a sound unlike few bands, and then you have his kind of 80s inspired vocal lines, very, very unique sounding voice, and just really good songs. It was always good. There's a reason Beastmilk became Grave Pleasures, almost because they couldn't top that album. He's like, we mentioned a couple of projects there, cunts and everything, right? So he's literally in everything. You talk about things like he was even in that like fucking Leather Teeth Carpenter Brute album.
That's right, yeah.
He's like everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere. So
So I would like to hear Matt was going back to his roots almost, so to speak. Did get me a little bit excited. And then I saw the album art and I was like,
hello.
My wife's gonna hate me, but I need that on a t-shirt.
And a vinyl.
So a debut, Scorpion Milk. What do we make of Slime of the Times? What do you think? What do you make of this?
So it's a debut, but it's not a debut, right? If you know what I mean. It's a debut of a new project, but it's if you know this guy, it's a familiar sound. It's the same way where How to Destroy Angels came out. So Trent Reznor did that project with his wife. He's like, I've got a new project, How to Destroy Angels. And you listen to it, you're like that. It's 9 Inch Nails with some female vocals. I'm not going to pretend this is a brand new thing where I'm like, oh, I wonder what version of Trent we're getting now. No, it's Trent Reznor. So, so I didn't do any of the PR on this. So, like, I take a lot of what you type at face value. I just assume that you're always being honest with me, or being a sarcastic bastard. So you were like, you literally said, first there was Beastmilk, then there was Scorpion Milk. And I just thought you were joking.
No.
Until I literally, not a fucking clue, right? Until I hit play on All Your Fears Opening track, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, there's absolutely no way that a plagiarism suit isn't going straight to fucking, like, so instantly right into, like, I don't do this often. I went straight to the piano and I was like that. Oh, right, aye. It all makes sense now. Yeah. So I think, contextually speaking, I think this is less Grave Pleasures, more Beastmilk. And I would say it's even less Climax, where it exists as actually in a world where there was a hidden release in between Use Your Deluge and Climax.
Yeah.
Slime of the Times would exist there. Although that's not to say, I feel like I'm prefacing a lot of things here. Even using Beastmilk is a kind of misnomer as to what the sound actually is. This one is, I would say, much more kind of commercial post-punky 80s sound than Beastmilk was. Beastmilk, like, had a lot of really obscure sounds. Like, I remember us talking about, like, the influences, the things like Echo and the Bunnymen, or the like bands of that ilk where they were in there, was like with tiny little bizarre bits of the Smiths that existed in the background.
Yeah.
Weirdly, when I'm listening to this, I'm getting shitloads of Duran. Like there was more than one point of this where I was like that. Holy fucking shit! Like, I love you. You're now in my wheelhouse. Welcome to my world, ladies and gents. This is my decade, right? For fucking like music that just kicked ass. It was made on more cocaine than sense. Yeah, like so. So what's interesting about this one is whereas Beastmilk and Climax focused on creating songs, I would say, around his voice. This one here is approached very similar to how an industrial album is written, where it's written around motifs. Now, that motif may be a lyrical motif, but it is one that essentially will become repeated a lot throughout the track, or there'll be a hooked riff which becomes repeated and built upon throughout the track, rather than having your and it still does have a verse, chorus, but the thing is, your verse, chorus might have the same guitar riff, it's just the drums are a bit harder, or he's just changed what he's singing about, which actually is very 1980s. So like, there are a lot of bands out there that didn't kind of grasp that a chorus could sound different from a verse, so they were like, just keep playing, just keep playing, just keep, it's only a 2-minute song. So he's kind of approached it that way. Being a fan of the industrial, my ears are acclimated to that, so I like the idea of taking a motif and then building more bits onto it. What he does though, and what makes it inherently a kind of a matte album, is you will always throw like a curveball in the interlude. So the interludes here go anywhere to kind of really kind of new wave punk to kind of blackened elements. Like, you can tell that kind of latter day Hex Vessel sound that he's got has weaved its way in here. Kind of chaotic punk as well. But for the most part, listening to this is an exercise in either a lyrical motif and the rest of the instrumentation will change, or a guitar riff, and the melody will like shift in and out. And once you get your head around that on the first listen, I got to the end of the first listen and I was like, right, don't know. I don't know if there are as many singable choruses here as there were on a Beastmilk album. However, I will tell you this, like, the rhythm and delivery and the song titles in there after the, like, right in there, I was like, the will to live, the will to survive, the will to live, the will to survive, it was like locked in. I just had that in my head because of that and it's an industrial thing. It's that you repeat, and then people sing it back. So, like, the first listen, I was undecided. I knew I liked it, but I didn't know if I loved it. And everything that this guy tends to do is on the upper echelon of like, and very much comfortably in love. The second listen, I'll be honest, I was kind of the same. I kind of got to the end of the second listen, which I did right after the first listen. I should have given it time. I was kind of like, I don't know. So went away, listened to the sprawling 1 hour epic album that we have already reviewed tonight. And then came back to it. And I think the transition of something that was so weighty and so densely constructed and so massive, the simplicity of this album just cut right through straight away. I just grabbed onto it with 2 hands, so like, let's go. I've come back to this. Of all the albums that we've reviewed, this is the one I've listened to the most. A couple of reasons behind that. It's like 35 minutes in length, so it's an easy spin. It's also not the most complicated album to listen to.
Yeah.
There aren't any huge shifts in dynamics here. It's kind of... and this is where it reminds me a lot of Use Your Deluge. It's around a theme and an idea, and lyrically they're really interesting. He's always been a great lyricist, but that's what's interesting is whatever idea he's got to convey and the track, you know, the music is designed to fit that, where I almost kind of get the feeling that it wouldn't surprise me if he'd written the lyrics first and then wrote songs around them. Or wrote like a guitar riff and he's like, right, that's the rhythm. I know what I want to say, fit that rhythm, and delivered it that way, which once again is very much an industrial trope. That's, you know, how like you get what you get. But that's not to say that it's one directional. So I think you get the kind of new wave punk elements in there for sure. You get a little bit of 80s indie for sure. You get 80s new romantic, but granted it's a darker new romantic sound. It's more in line with a kind of Gary Newman or some of the more darker Duran moments than it would be, for example, fucking Human League. But they're in there. But then you get the other shit that's really fucking cool. So if you listen to like the title track, Slime of the Times, which by the way is like, there's another thing, the Slime of the Times, you know, it's right there. But it has like these really angular, disjointed, edgy, sharpy, jutty motions with elements of like kind of 80s industrial in the background. It's really punching, really, really cool. Coming back to that industrial. But I don't know if I've ever heard him do anything like that before. And we are, in our knowledge now, about 14 years into his career as, you know, listeners. And cunt still got tricks coming out of the bag. You know, you can still pull off something you were like, I would never have thought you would do something like that. It's really, really, really cool. It's big on ideas and it's big on concept. It's very well produced considering he self-produced it. I really like it. It's not fucked with at all, and that rawness is actually what makes it really endearing. But it's not so raw that it sounds like someone's demo tape that you've just dug out of like the, you know, like fucking attic. Like there's clearly a craft around it. He just knows to let things sit. And there's really subtle layering here as well, which is really, 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 really cool. It could just be like another guitar part, or it could be at times like some sort of like synth or electronic loop thing that he's kind of brought into the mix. It really works. You've answered the question as to who the guest vocalist was on She Wolf London. That track is an absolute fucking banger. It really, really, really works. But then it's not, you've got the guy from Creeper on, so what are you going to get? And they don't go down the traditional route, which is really, really, really cool. It kind of fits in there as well. So, like, I've done this album many times now. And my opinion on it is that I think I think the musical landscape is a better place for Matt continuing to do what he does. I think he's always, even if he's revisiting ideas, he never revisits the same idea. Like, this isn't Beastmilk version 2. This is, I've invented a genre, imagine another band existed in that genre, which is so much fucking cooler than let me try and recapture a sound I did, you know, 15 years ago. And as a result of that, Scorpion Milk kind of stands out as like a peculiar little oddity. It's the sort of thing that you might go into like a record store and the guy behind the counter who never gets his choice of albums has managed to put that on while people are like kind of watch this, I'm about to sell 5 copies of Scorpion Milk. Like high fidelity style. I just kind of have that kind of underground feel. You mentioned the album artwork. That's indicative of that as well. There's something deeply weird, absolutely bitching, and at the same time completely non-relational to the actual album about the artwork. It makes you want to check it out because you don't know what it's going to sound like. It looks edgy, it looks dark, it looks sinister. This is edgy, dark, and sinister, but it's not obtrusive or unlistenable or abrasive. It's like it has all the hooks you would expect, but he's just delivering it in a different fashion. I really, really, really like this. I think I have the Grave Pleasure stuff has always been like interesting to go to, and there's been very shades of them delivering or moments on all those albums where I'm like, that if you had just given me the album of that, you would be in spitting distance of the Beastmilk that I loved. And what's interesting is he's not done that here either. He almost knows when he does an album. It's the same thing we did with Hexfest, where he's like that. Oh, you want translucent eyeball? No, fuck you. It's all folk. You want all folk? Now it's black metal. Like I just love that idea of whatever the people want. He's gonna do it for himself first and foremost. Yeah. And I'm kind of attuned to him now, and as a result of that, I kind of enjoy the next project, the next announcement, because you never really know what you're gonna get. Yeah. And this works all the way through. I will say, of all the tracks on this one, the one that is most reminiscent of early day Beastmilk is the closing track, Children Are Dust, which feels like it could have been directly on Climax, or even like a rough demo from Use Your Deluge. It's really, really, really good. I like a lot of time for this. I think if you've been scratching at an itch where you've been wanting some more of that flavor that you had 12 years ago, I think you could happily pick this up and spin this on. But also, I think it's going to have a huge crossover appeal, because I do think there are people like us out there who are kind of fans of this guy, and will just follow him from project to project. So yeah, I thought it was really, 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 really good. What about you, Davey boy?
This is kind of what I was expecting, but also not entirely what I was expecting, but also what I was expecting. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Let me explain. So I knew going in, this was going to be like a return to something more within the Beastmilk realm. And it, as you said, it very much is. Like, it is soaked in that character, that post-punk character. Very 80s, very retro, kind of worn out sounding, but not in a bad way. And different to an album like Climax, because it was produced by Kurt Ballou, so there's a level of kind of cleanliness to that album. I feel like this has a slightly more weathered aesthetic. Like, when I first heard this, I was automatically thinking about like VHS and vinyl and like like analog, basically. The production of this very much reminded me of that kind of almost like a kind of 80s period where like records had or albums had like a natural kind of warmth and this kind of subtle kind of harmonic kind of distortion to them. This has a very like a kind of rounded kind of low end, slightly rolled off high end, and it gives it that more kind of vintage feel. And I love that. Like, this album is full of character in that respect, and totally suits like tracks like She Wolf of London.
Oh yeah.
It quite literally could be a Beastmilk track. It's got the hooks, it's got the melancholy, the energy, the prominent bass line, the tight drums, the hypnotic guitars. It's great. On top of all the kind of Beastmilk kind of parallels on this album, I think what Matt's done here is kind of incorporate a lot of influences from the other bands and projects he's been in over the years. So it's not just like a straight Beastmilk replica here. And you can hear like those start to creep in as early as track 1, to be honest. Although it has that kind of dark, moody Beastmilk vibe. Even has like the hand claps in there. There's something a little bit more sinister about it. And as the track progresses, he starts to add in a vocal that resembles something more of a kind of black metal quality, which really like starts to increase the intensity of the track. And as much as like Matt is known for that kind of like very kind of haunting kind of vocal tone. It's easy to forget that he's had a huge involvement with extreme music, like going back almost 30 years now. He was playing in death metal bands in the mid-90s. He's been involved in a ton of black metal and avant-garde bands over the years. So although we don't hear him do it, regularly, it's something he's always had in his back pocket to use. And he started to kind of put it to use on this release, given, there's certain tracks here have a extra bit of kind of snarl to them. And it kind of continues to drop in these little nuggets of his past right throughout this release. Whether that's, getting a touch more avant-garde on like The Will to Live, or going in a more kind of indie Cure-esque vibe, but with almost like a ska feel in the rhythms on like Another Day, Another Abyss. Which he also uses the word genocide on, and it like if I was to take a shot every time Matt used the word genocide on an album, I would be absolutely paralytic.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there with Max Cavalera using the words bullshit, tribe, and motherfucker. It's just like I think it's just second hand. He's like, whoa, genocide.
It's totally on my bingo list every time. There we go, genocide. Let's tick that off. It's on there.
If your genre is like post-apocalyptic punk, though, you're not using the word genocide, then I'm going to argue you're not doing it right.
Yeah. The middle of the album kind of gets interesting, though. Wall to Wall, it definitely leans into that real like apocalyptic feel, quite ominous, and like the melodies are much more kind of esoteric, but it sets up the title track perfectly, which reaches into the kind of toy box and pulls out something, as you said, a bit more industrial, a little more metallic. Put me in mind of like kind of Kill and Joke, the kind of more industrial material. I don't know, like maybe like the kind of heavier guitar tracks of Kill and Joke, like a kind of Pandemonium, or This World Hell.
Good shout.
There's even a wee touch of like 90s Ministry in there as well, with some of the harsher tones, but it's got this very slow kind of like menacing feel to it, which is really cool, and still like again weirdly fits with the rest of the album. There's still a touch of that kind of similar kind of tone on Silver Pig, so it doesn't feel like an oddity on the album either. The tracks surrounding it have just enough of the same kind of essence to make it feel cohesive. The end of the album starts to kind of like drift back towards a more kind of Beastmilk vibe on All Snakes No Ladders, where you've got the hooks, that trademark kind of lead work resonates right through, and then to close the album we get something again. It's got like a kind of like early Beastmilk, but there's a little touch of like Hex Vessel in there as well, but without the black metal, obviously. It's more kind of like haunting and atmospheric and quite introspective. Very much like something you'd listen to in like the early hours of the morning. Has that kind of like feel to it, but it fits the tone of like an album closer perfectly well. I think the band he has sound great on this.
The dude has no shortage of being able to pick great musicians to collab with. So
spot on. Like the energy and the character of this band's playing is like absolutely bang on the money. Like really, really cool. I don't know about the guests. Like I'm still undecided. If they really brought anything like huge to the album. I felt the Will Gould thing especially, I feel like he has a very distinctive style and tone.
That's what I'm saying. I knew there was a different voice there, but I wasn't like you. Without you being like saying Creeper, I would never have guessed in a million years.
Same. I know. I mean, I don't know. It just felt like he was almost kind of backing Matt up on that track, like rather than like, I didn't really feel like he was taking a lead on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the guests brought anything huge to it, just me personally. But that aside, I think Matt has an incredible talent. Like he doesn't really matter what style he puts his hand to, he does it really well. And he's got a real like talent for this style in particular. But not only has he given us like a little nostalgic, a little taste of old Beastmilk, but he's crafted it in a way that also kind of represents his love for avant-garde and punk and black metal and industrial, to give you an album that does feel confident and also rewarding as well, but also like it shows the different sides of his voice. So I think he's done a great job recording as well. I think the recording sounds brilliant. Having it mastered by Abbey Road also helps, but
just a bit.
But I think the initial tones and sounds need to be as good for the mastering to work as well as it does here. So yeah, I think he's done a really good job on this. And I'll continue to listen to whatever he puts out, really, because there's always a level of quality to it, which I really enjoy. So final thing, scores for Slime of the Times. What are you thinking?
It's a 4.5 from me. I thought, once again, like this guy very rarely under delivers for me. I think this is consistently a consistent level of quality with any project he's involved with, where his heart's in it and you can feel it from here. This is, is it as good as Climax? I don't think anything he does will ever be as good as Climax, but I'll tell you right now, this is within spitting distance for me. I'm gonna come back to this loads, because it's a vibe and a style and a sound I like, and he is the closest you will get to an individual being able to deliver that, who is not now 70 years old. So, you know what I mean? It's really if you're fans of any of the bands we've mentioned, if you're a fan of this guy's music, Scorpion Milk is set to become your new favorite jam this year. So yeah, 4.5.
Nice. I'm a 4. I thought it was really good. I kind of feel like a bit of a prick, because you tend to want to compare this to like the other projects, the Beastmilk and Grave Pleasures, but
all the things that he's trying not to, but then that PR did specifically say
and I realise this is its own thing, Scorpion Milk, but I do feel like, is it as good as that or as good as this?
Also called it Scorpion Milk.
I know.
Does it have to be milk?
So yeah.
Scorpion Lemonade. That's the name of this band right here.
Better. So yeah, it would always going to be difficult to beat Climax, because it is just such a fucking killer album. And I think the last Grave Pleasure album was fucking amazing as well.
The last one, it was like I said, that was when we were starting to get close to and then that not the Hex Vessel album that's just come out there, but the one before his first foray back into blackmail. I'm fucking still spinning that, man.
That really good as well. So yeah, it's maybe not quite at those levels for me, but still very solid. 4 out of 5 for me. And yeah, there's a lot here that I would enjoy, coming back to spin again later on this year. I definitely will. So Scorpion Milk and their new album Slime of the Times, out on the 19th of September on Peaceville Records. Check out the links to the band, the pre-order, stick one of the singles in there, have a listen, see what you think. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
You gotta get through it.